do. Click, 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 click. Share. Alright, so you can pop this chat out. Stick it down in the corner. Stick that there. So let's chat. So last week I had this WXPN Chain Game thing going on. Basically, the radio station WXPN wants to have a way where you have a chain of different artists where the first and last go together. And in this case, we have here example of Weird Al, Al Fresco, Fresco P, P Conflict, Conflict of Mint, Mint Royale, Royale and Attentat, Attentat Sonar, Sonora Fiction, Fiction X, X Fade, Fade to Black, Black Science Orchestra, Orchestra, Carlo, Codora, Codora Orchestra. That's kind of a stretch, but you can see it. We did that last week. What we did is we found this list of artists here and we parsed it out. Close to 6 million in this list. The original list was about 8 million. We pared it down quite a bit to get to here. And that's just what we came up with. As you can see, it's a very big file. And this is, if you can look at this, you see that the first 13, they're all the same. It gets to Black Science Orchestra and finds all these other things. I've never heard of majority of these artists. We go through, so we got to about 100,000. It took a couple days to do all this computation and whatnot. Just a lot of looking up stuff. Cool. And then the rest of the chain. So it's 100,000. Basically, you can imagine that there's significantly more orders of magnitude of content, of lists of items that can be put in these chains. Unfortunately, I don't know any of these bands, right? You think Black Science Orchestra, Orchestra Love, Love Exit Orchestra, Love Curse, Love Hate Wonder. I don't know who these are. When we have this list of 6 million or so, you're really going to find quite a few that are probably not adequate. I mean, look at these. These are like, certainly not English bands, which generally is fine. I think the problem is that if I was going to submit one of these lists to WXPN, would they play it? And the answer is probably not, because first, they don't have the rights to play Love Smile Music Japan Company Limited, and second, I don't know what music they're going to put on, but it's probably not going to be within the not going to be of interest to the listeners of that station. So we're going to try to do something. Love's $sign Punch. Fun names. So we have this XML file here. I was looking at, kind of playing around with it. We can put them into the list. So you basically, it's this massive amount of stuff. And we pulled the name out, like like right there. But there is more information. I took one, converted it to JSON, kind of tossed it into this, kind of formatted it. So you see we have this name, and that's kind of what I was taking it from. But there's actually a couple other things that you can imagine, you can see it are in here. We have this data quality. I think that can be an interesting signal. We have the maybe images. Maybe we have this URLs. So basically, I'm going to try to take a look quickly and kind of suss out what other signals we can get from this XML that can help us pare down that list from 6 million or so to something a little more reasonable. And I hope we can do it. And if not, we'll go back to the drawing board. So let's see, const name, URLs equals artist. And then here we're going to print out name, data quality, and URLs. Let's run this script. It should begin to spit things out. I think. Artists. Didn't like that. Not liking the log printing. So let's just write this to our file here. And there's thing there. Here. So we have name, we have data quality, and let's get URLs. Okay. Oh, I think I crashed the terminal. I was printing out too many things. Alright, look at that. Kind of blew it up, really. Alright, so that's kind of why I added this option max. Let's just take put 10 in there. Nope, cut it out after 10. Nope, wrong. We'll cut out at 10. Nope. I think I have to rebuild. I crashed the terminal really hard. Alright, so there we go. So, actually let me remove that line for a second. So here's a couple of things. You have Mr. James Horth and AD, that's one of them. The value is correct, but they don't have a URL. You have care company correct, undefined. Well, care company is the name of the artist. Their data is correct, but they don't have a URL. Oh, here we go. Here's the persuader. They have a URL, but they do need a vote. I don't know what that means exactly. A couple of these need votes, but they have some URLs. Care company it is not big enough. Let me do 25 for a second. Okay, so we have BB Mammoth, Sweet Abraham. These are MySpace links. I don't know how valuable those are actually going to be, you know, but let's take URL. Let's set this back to -1. So let's keep iterating. If option max is not equal to -1, we'll log. Otherwise, we're in production, right? So if URLs is equal to undefined, we will return. So we're not going to write any. So if the artist doesn't have a website, I don't consider them valuable enough to actually put it in here. We could probably do a little more filtering. If we could say, MySpace might not be sufficient. It might be. I'm not sure what this need vote thing. Or correct. Oh, let's run it. And we'll see how we start to get. I'm curious to see how many we're going to end up with, because the smaller that it's going to be, the better, Now another thing, so this is gonna run for a bit. This chain, one thing I added, I want to do a small modification where instead of just looking for an exact string, I want to do starts with, and I'll show you what I mean. I think I can pull up the one that was done this morning. I might have removed the tweet. Oh, the tweet's lost, but anyway, what they did is whoever submitted it, instead of saying this thing is equal to, the column is equal to the text that we're putting in, like stars, star is the band name or something star, and then when star land something. Anyway, I don't know. I just want to say starts with text. We are past 3 million at this point. That's artist 1. Where is artists? Okay, so we're currently at a nice 150,000. Another thing that I could do in future is convert all of these to their phonetics. I'm not going to do that yet. I am curious. I did look up Green Day earlier. I know that they're a legitimate band. I know the text is really small. It's small for me too. go. Okay, so here's the XML data. They have URL, group, screen day. I should look up. This is still running. 300,000. Look up the artist one. Okay, Screen Day does show up as a band. It's in there. It's kind of towards the end. It also looks like the artists that are in Green Day are separate entries. And that could be a potential hazard. It's just adding a lot of computation, and I gave them this name, and that's not what their name is, so. We had up their API again. Documentation. There's a place somewhere. There you go. So we get, oh, there we go. This is kind of what you're going to expect to see. You need to vote for Nickelback, seems odd. It's not exactly the same file format, is it? Here they have URLs as an array. guess it's an array in XML too. Takes you here. Oh, they have name variations, but where is name? Here's data quality. We're approaching 500,000. I don't think this is a full thing. Well, it just seems like they're missing a few things. I'm getting in the JSON, in the XML file. Hang on. If I actually take their API, paste it in here, and take a look at the JSON, you get name, images. There's like quite a few URLs. And some weird name variations. I don't know what that's supposed to. Data quality says need vote. So their API is not actually up to date, it seems, or it's missing something. All right, I think finally finished with it. So this, if looking at only the artists that have a URL. You wind up with about 500,000. Includes Green Day, Iron Maiden, a bunch of others. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem as though we get the genre necessarily. I guess we have profile. Alternative rock band from Hannah, Alberta. The band was formed. Let's try something a little odd. If profile is equal to undefined, let's return if not profile includes rock. And not profile includes pop. Return. So we can take a look. This is really going to be a little maybe a bit too shaky, too unreliable. We'll have to come with a couple of different synonyms, but generally, let's take a look at even closer at the type of music. So looking at Nickelback, for example, there is no genre value. It'd be great. It'd be great. You could say, oh, let's look at all the rock bands, all the pop, rock, anything in between, and we'll stay there. No, we can't rely on that. So we're going to have to try to parse it out of this profile field. And I don't know. What do they do for Mumford and Sons? I know Green Day is going to be a rock band. So if we do Mumford Amp Sons. 4-piece band from West London, old-time sound, influences various things. Major credits include looking at Rosie Langston, producer. No, Mumford and Sons. Yeah. Alright, well, let's see. If name is equal to Mumford and Sons. Because they're not really a rock group. They're like indie, acoustic, maybe-ish, folk. I want to see what the profile says, so that I can capture that as a genre of sorts. I don't think the data quality is very useful. I think you want to... so we got 500,000 in this approach. We'll pick up some odd things. I'm not gonna have that Japanese group on the radio, but they all have URLs, so I think that's a pretty good signal. Yeah, I don't think those are gonna play. So let's rerun it with an additional filter and see what comes out. You got 5. Limiting it to rock and pop. I guess we'll get Green Day. And that should really help reduce the data set so we can run more and have the ones that we run end up being higher quality and more recognizable generally. Boop-a-doo. So it's still running. We only got 5 so far, so maybe we've become too narrow. Now, we might console log those out a bit, but we have to think about lowercase as well. There we go. Artist equals artist.profile dot to lowercase. So how do we, what's here that we could pull into it? Well, let's make a constant actually, so we don't have to have a bunch of these ands. So const equals genres, and we can add in guitar, add in rock, we could add in pop, how about punk, folk. Okay, so here we say genre for const genre of genres. Now, well, let's make a function. Let's make a function. We'll call this does have genres. Let's result equal true. Genres for each. Make that false. For each genre, let's go ahead and add a profile field. If profile dot include genre res equals true, return res. And this is actually not very efficient. We can actually rewrite this to exit out even faster. Let me say for const genre of genres, if profile include genre, return true, return false. So if not does have genres, profile, return. And looks like we only have 5 so far, so that's let's make a bands of note. Arctic Monkeys, Mumford and Sons. Let's do Weird Al. Let's do Green Day. Cause I wanted just yeah, this is noteworthy. I want to be able to make sure that I capture in my list of genres every one of those bands. So we can say const band of note if name is equal to band, return true. Then we can say here if is noteworthy, pass in the name, we log out the name, and we log out their profile. I don't know if it's stopped running or something. It looks like it's stopped. Let's go. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I don't know. I guess it was just kind of not writing but we're still doing something, still computing. So we got to about 33,000 using our new method. So we're doing better. Probably could have gone for longer, but that's on me. Let's run it again. Now with our wider genres, logging out those bands and note. And we are still filtering by the URL. Green Day. Their pop. We got rock. So it should be in here. Arctic Monkeys, indie, rock. Is that indie? And as another keyword. So we should see Green Day show up. Okay, Iron Maiden, another great band. Medicine Rain. I've never heard of Medicine Rain before. Celtic Frost, okay. So now we're really narrowing it down to 17,000 so far. I'll probably go a bit more. Yeah. Can't. How do I? Okay. It's still running. I mean, really, if it's less than 1 million, I'm gonna be pretty happy. If it's less than 100,000, I'll be even happier. There you go, Mumford and Sons. It has guitar in the name, so that should be fine. Okay. Mumford and Sons. So I know that they're in my list. Downstairs left. You know, there's probably a lot of smaller bands in here as well. Indie bands. I wonder, let me take a look at this website. Discogs. Let me look for like a really niche artist. Nathan Kohlberg. He's got 55,000 followers. And there you go. Okay. Into the Wild. It's one of their albums. It's not all of them. I can't look at their submissions, but looks like okay. So Nathan Kohlberg is in there. So I think we're pretty good. Let me look up. Here's another one. The Cinema. Probably, I don't know, when are these from? 2010s. Artists. Okay, so they don't have Cinema, and they have about 10,000 followers on Spotify. And it looks like they might have pulled their songs from Spotify. Here's one, Trust Fall. I don't even know why I'm following them. Jackson. Duncan Fellows. Okay, so they do have Duncan Fellows. So this is a pretty reasonable list, because they're also a relatively small artist on Spotify, so. Anna Bates. Let me see. No, they don't have Anna Bates, so. Again, I don't know why I'm following Anna Bates. I don't think I'd like getting her for songs. But okay, so that aside, I think I'm pretty well off with this data set. I just have to wait for the thing to finish. That's 70,000. Past 70. Still haven't come up across Weird Al yet, so we do know that there is going to be some data left to process. Streetlight Manifesto. Okay, so they do show up. I guess they're in folk or something. I could probably actually find out. I know I like their stuff, but I guess I didn't really think of them as rock or ska punk. Okay, so it's punk that's showing up. This is not the most exciting thing so far, but once this stops, if it stops in a reasonable amount, it's at 78,000, hoping for under 100,000. There's a lot of rock bands out there, and if you're a fan of rock music, or I guess punk, pop, folk, you know, you're really missing out on a lot of stuff. United States Air Force Band, a Mid-America Concert Band. I mean, it's probably the guitar that's triggering that. But I think, you know, if you're into this music, there's a lot of opportunities for you to find new indie artists. Some not even necessarily going to sing in English, so I think that's quite nifty. I see the national parks. Yeah, National Park Radio. Fantastic. These are some interesting selections. I think I could clear out a lot of these if I remove the guitar bit. I'm looking at this. I don't know how else I could get across there are a good band without the use of the word guitar. Kings of Leon. Okay, so they're in the data set. It's still churning out. Plenty of stuff, plenty of things. Whiskey dust. Ooh, almost at 100,000. Oh, it finished. And Weird Al was not in here. Oh. Okay, well, that's what it shows up as. Alright, so this is actually I'm very pleased with my filtering because it's under 100,000, which is what I was aiming for. They'll make our chaining much more efficient. So we can go back to this here. We can say find the next link. Let's start off this time with Mumford Arctic monkeys. And that last is monkeys. And now what this is going to do is going to run this find next link, which is going to go ahead and look at do a query from this file for all of the first names. You can see, like Viking Queen, for example. So it's split by these vertical lines. You have Viking Queen is the name. First name is Viking, last name is Queen. So if we go look for sons, it's going to look for anything where this second column is going to have sons and daughters. And then it's going to go to daughters, look for daughters. But it's going to do this recursively. It's also going to look for, it's going to do a full scan. The sons of Ishmael is going to get a full thing as well. And sons of Otis, sons of Bronson, sons of Jim Wayne. It's going to keep going. Sons of Frida. So all those continue on. And then for sons and then for daughters, it's going to recall this again with one more in the chain and keep going. And it's also for any chain that has a longer length. Once we get to the end, we're going to start writing them out in the list. 3 or more. We have a max of 15. Once it gets to 15, we're not going to keep recursing into it. So I have to copy this line over here, which is going to set the memory for this function to be 8 gigabytes, because otherwise it might run out of memory. Now, this time, since I'm using a smaller data set, it should be much less likely, but I'm just being a bit careful with memory. Kick this off. You can see it's already running. It's looking for all of it's just running really quickly, actually. A lot faster than before because it's just fewer stuff to iterate through. But look, it's looking for all the cats, I guess. Age, death. We can actually take a look at our chains.txt file. So we see Arctic monkeys, monkeys in love, love and rockets, rockets burst from the street lamps. So that's one. That has a length of 4. Then we have 7, 10. So the second one we get trapped at ground components. We could do monkeys in love, love bugs, Starsky and tonic. Tonic breed, breeding ground, unicorn, horn, hornsman, coyote, coyote kings, king for convenience. And so you see this time, because I'm checking for if it starts with and doesn't actually isn't exactly equal, horn goes to hornsman. So you'd say ground, unicorn, horns, ground unicorn, horns, man, coyote, kings of convenience. And then we have, Wall of Voodoo, Voodoo Queens, Queen of the Stone Age, Age of Chance, Chance Howard, Chance Hayden, Chance Raspberry, Chance Upon the Answer, Chance the Arm. That's a funky little symbol there. And we're actually still generating a lot of options. So there's still that, at 1700 so far. And we're still, and that's considering that the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 have not changed. The first 12 have been the same for a while. Maybe 11. Anyway, this is going to generate a lot of options, and it's going to be a lot less than before. Just for the fact that there's fewer options to start with. Still don't know some of these things. Most of them. But my 2,500 so far. I think here we got to 100,000 with Weird Al and company. And it was a lot the same. Like, all of these are Black Science Orchestra all the way through. So I'm hoping we'll reach some sort of conclusions faster. Well, before it runs out of memory, because it hit 100,000 and crashed because there's like we can't fill up we have too many recursive functions trying to be run. I could fix that, but I think 100,000. I can only give one, to the radio station. At a time. So we're still on Voodoo though, and we're coming up just about 9 o'clock. I'm gonna get a little more water, let this run for a bit, and I'll probably end the stream before it finishes. Leftovers for dinner. Got some lasagna. I've got some crostata. Heat those up because I have them. I don't know when. $4,000. Still got Wall of Voodoo, so. Imagine what would happen if I decided to update the chain value. Well, if I made it smaller, it'd certainly generate fewer options. Should I do that? Just to have something to say that we did. Yeah, let's do that. Not that, we're a bit in, but that's for the audience, Let's say chain of 4. And call it a night. And then I'll bump it up to 15 again and then actually run it. As it turns out, this is still generating a lot of different options. This is only the first monkeys. Well, yeah. And how many bands start with the word monkeys? Probably. I mean, look. You can see it's working, right? Well, that's a bit of a problem. Doing love A, and then every single artist that has the letter A in it is going to get triggered by that. Well, every band that's in our filtered list. So that's kind of, you know, unfortunate. That's funny. Arctic Monkeys and Love A, Arctic Monkeys. Because it's not checking that it exists in the set already, so it could definitely repeat if we're not careful. But then, of course, that's probably a very low priority. Because if you think about, you know, if I'm looking, let me submit this to the radio station to play. I'm not gonna, you know, I'll look at them before I send them out, right? And then I'm not gonna pick the one that is clearly incorrect. Anyway, it really is going to trigger on every single A. And as it turns out, we'll have artists have A as the first. So, that's something. That's what we call a learning thingamajig. So. We have to filter those out. The name is Love A. That doesn't count as the last name. Yeah. Just want this thing to finish running. 4,000 artists in our list that end with the letter A. So 600 to or so. There we go. Loved up lay. Love mess. Love stories end. Lovely head. We're still monkeys in love. There's actually only one monkey's band. There's another one with the bees. Oh, geez. 1200 start with BE. So I'll turn for a bit. No, wait. And we're done. So from Arctic monkeys, there are 8,052 possible ways to make a chain of artists with the length of 4. I think that's pretty darn impressive. So, we will be submitting one of these to WXPN at some point soon. And with that,